Adventures in Late-Stage Capitalism. One night I was out drinking with my roommate Jen. We were both sophomores in business, not because we were excited about making money, but because we both had overbearing parents who basically told us we would be nobodies if we didn't go to college. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday we would drink and eat more than was wise, sleep with people we would never talk to when sober, and waste what little money we had. We had hangovers every Monday that we tried to erase with Costco-sized bottles of Tums. It was tough, but we told ourselves it was the only way to bear college and life. 2 months before graduation, I had an epiphany. I was watching a documentary on Charles Manson and realized I was an adult and could quit college whenever I wanted. Fuck my parents. I didn't need to impress anyone, let alone their stuck in the mud ideas. I told my roommate my epiphany and she laughed, asked if I had just eaten some edibles, but I hadn't. She did not realize just how serious I was and how sure I was that I would never set foot in a college again. It was freeing. I got drunk and stoned for weeks. I traveled down to Cancun with Jen at the end of the semester and got lost with two hot guys who met me while I was skinny dipping in the ocean. It was great. Jen didn't get why I was doing what I was doing, abandoning all semblance of being responsible, but I told her it was freeing and being free was the only way to be. She said she didn't understand. I told her that one day she would. I laughed and then stopped when I realized I had no money to pay rent. My parents had stopped talking to me once they found out I had dropped out, and I knew no family of mine was going to bail me out after they found out that I was the only one in the family to abandon higher education. So I swallowed my pride and wrote up a resume, an impressive one sheet about my high school cheerleading, 2 years at Jimmy's Pizza, and my stint doing dishes at the college cafeteria. It wasn't impressive, but after a few weeks I got a job at Ahab's Coffee, which is kind of like Starbucks, but, well, let's just say they wish they were Starbucks. It was easy at first, though kind of hectic. Remembering drinks, remembering names. It was tough. But in the downtime, we could goof off and we got all the free coffee we could drink. It helped. I probably drank 3 or 4 large cups every shift. I got the hang of the job soon enough and had enough to pay rent with Jen, but after a few months, things changed at work. It was subtle, but looking back, it seemed inevitable. I got a few orders wrong, and a few dozen jugs of milk were left outside in the sun, and corporate decided that suddenly we had to sign off on each order and double check it with our partner. The person responsible for a mistake would lose points. We got points for things we did well, too, such as for complimenting customers, remembering names, and keeping everything in stock, but we were penalized for spills and taking too long, among other things. Soon after all this point nonsense began, Ahab started using an app to track our productivity, down to our heart rate. It felt intrusive, especially when it suggested cutting out caffeine, but I wasn't going to quit over it. I had no other plan, no backup, so I stuck it out, listening to the AI tell me to smile more, move faster, breathe in on counts of 4. My productivity did go up, but my pay didn't. But I'm sure someone was making more money because at the same time they started cutting out the free coffee, raising the price of drinks. Anyway, I stopped drinking coffee, and with all of this tracking nonsense making my days a nightmare of anxiety, I started drinking more alcohol. I needed some relief. One night while out drinking, Jen asked me if I regretted dropping out. I laughed and said, "No way. Money doesn't make you happy." She laughed too and asked me if a job at a soul-sucking coffee shop did. I just glared at her. After work, I would watch Netflix or HBO Max, and one night I was watching a documentary on Al Capone and started to wonder what I was going to do with my life once Jen was gone and graduated. I started to fear that maybe she was right. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe money was all that mattered. So I looked at the alcohol and decided something had to change. No one was going to save me, but I didn't know where to start, and the job was killing me. Literally. I had a doctor's appointment and my LDL was through the roof as well as my blood pressure and weight. I laughed it off, but then I saw a self-help book in the waiting room, and it became a new addiction. Each one had a different message, but self-love seemed to be central to most of them. I started doing yoga. I bought a juicer. I ate better and felt better, but still had no clue what to do. And the tracking just got worse. That's when I had another late night epiphany, this time while watching a documentary about Julia Child. I took a page from my company, because if they could use AI to increase productivity, I could use it to increase my own meaning and happiness. It suggested therapy to deal with my parents. It suggested I date. It suggested routines, and I followed everything. I worked from dawn to dusk. Every second was accounted for. My diet became more precise than Brian Johnson's. My sleep was tracked, and I had the perfect REM balance and actually started waking up rested. I was ruthless and determined. After work, I had a 4-hour routine: cardio, strength training, brain training, red light therapy, reading, meditation, nature exposure, and reflection. I learned about stocks and bonds and made my first $100,000 on paper. In a month, I got a promotion at Ahab. I thought I would just keep going, up and up, higher and higher, my life becoming ever better, brighter, and even more optimized. But then the insomnia hit. There was only so much time and my brain wouldn't stop. I had too much to read, too much to do. Some nights I would stay up for hours researching and debating things like the ideal toothbrush, the correct brushing technique, the exact number of seconds per tooth. It may seem trivial to you, but it seemed important to me at the time. My work started to slip. I kept trying to optimize. I asked the AI for cures to insomnia, better systems, better habits, but the more I tried, the more overwhelmed I got, and I started showing up late to work. Started forgetting to lock the doors and doing too many things at once. I forgot to sell my stocks at the right time and lost everything I had made. I called my parents one night, asking for advice, but ever since I dropped out, their answer had been the same. "We told you so." I hung up. I really don't know why I bothered. The next day, I was fired at work. It was expected after how much I had screwed up, but still, it hurt. I walked back to my apartment without looking at my phone. For 10 minutes, I didn't optimize anything. It felt empty. I passed a mirror and didn't recognize my reflection. I knew logically it was me, but it felt like an alien. The street sounded weird because it was used to my brain always being plugged into something. I wanted desperately to look at my phone, but instead I threw it and the AI in the trash. That night I ate pizza for dinner for the first time in months. It was delicious. I didn't know what I was going to do after that. I didn't have a well thought out plan, but I slept that night.